This is my 1,000 horsepower homemade off-road racing truck. In this video, you'll see all of the building and testing I've done up to this point. And at the very end, we'll go over the plan for the final stage of the build because we are this close to driving it again. Let's get started. Cage is wider than the frame, so we have to just basically extend the frame out a little bit and weld the cage on just like that. I like how nice it fits up against the factory dash. Cup holders, master disconnect, intercom, broadcasting radio, police light and siren controller, shifter here, and then our handbrake. Let's get it all welded up. This side's just about done. I got about 1 inch more of up travel to notch in. We're binding up a little bit down there. Starting on the engine cage, we're going to start with this back hoop here. We need a tube that goes between these two with a little 5-degree bend to bring this up tighter. Take these little caps on there. It'll be a lot easier to do it right here. I can roll the tube. Got the bump stop tacked in place. with some scrap iron. Now I can figure out how to mount it to the rest of the cage. Should look pretty cool, and it's going to be super strong. Turned out awesome. Going to be super strong up here. Custom motor mounts there. These are actually welded to the frame. I lowered the motor about 1.5 inches. Most people put the coilover in the front to kind of protect the bypass because it's got this spring as armor for rocks and stuff. This thing's looking pretty good. I got the axle tacked up with all these scrap tubes to hold it in place. And as you can see, the pinion angle's set. This is where the axle will be when you completely bottom out after a big jump. That's how you locate your shocks. They're 90 degrees to the trailing arm. So I got this heated to about 250 and that cooled to about, oh, I don't know, 0. So in theory, it should slip right on right now. I think I can mount these reservoirs right on that top tube there. Should look pretty good. Kind of offset. Swings out of the way with no tools required to get into the battery area. I'll have a little bit of storage in between them and get you 2 batteries, some relays and stuff in there. Dang, son. That thing means business. Pumping them up. Here's gonna be the fun part. I'm gonna start cutting stuff off this factory wiring harness that I don't need. Take that. I designed this center console to where the sides come off super easily and I can get in and wire all this stuff up. Not too bad. Let's fire it up, see what happens. There we are. I think that looks pretty good. After figuring out it could drive on 3 wheels, I wanted to do some low-speed testing just to check the suspension. This is like the opposite of what it was designed for. These trucks are built for high-speed desert driving. Of course, we made it down to Florida. And when to our first off-roading event.
I'll make you a deal. Whatever breaks, I'll split it with you half and half.
Deal.
Okay.
Getting myself a new motor. Dude, the motor just blew up. Oh no.
That doesn't count. Anything drivetrain. Anything drivetrain.
And then we went to the sand dunes in Michigan, and instead of driving around like a normal person, I decided to hit this puddle at full speed. Oh man, got a hole in the side of the block. That was awesome, dude.
Dude, oh.
Why did you tell me to do that?
I told you to get some air and I hit the water.
That puddle is deep, dude. And that brings us up to present day. There we go. This is moving into my new lab where we're gonna finish the build. Baby. Prerunner builds like this are not very common because of the extreme amount of labor and parts cost. I paid about $2,500 for the truck and I have almost $90,000 in parts into it so far. And tons of time, probably a couple thousand hours. But keep in mind, this truck was my first big project and it's how I learned how to do a lot of metal fabrication. So I could probably do the next one like 5 times faster. I'm putting all the accessories on the motor right now so that I know how to build the headers so they don't interfere with any of this stuff. Yes! Doing a custom build like this is super hard, but one thing I didn't realize would be this hard was ordering the parts, planning ahead for years. Like we had to plan to put a race pump on here in the future, and if I would have went with a different style bracket, you'd have to throw that away. When I put the fuel cell in, it had a stock motor, but I went ahead and put dual huge fuel pumps and big fuel lines because I knew I was going to build it later. I'm using the big fuel injectors from the previous engine because they're super expensive and I don't want to buy new ones. The problem is they don't fit. They're a little too short, so instead of getting new ones, I just have to machine a little spacer for the fuel rail, and then we'll be able to bolt them up, and it'll be perfectly good. They're kind of flopping around right now. And if these were to fly off at 70 psi of fuel pressure, it would spray the whole truck with gasoline, start it on fire, and burn it to the ground. So we need some really high quality parts here to keep it buttoned up. Luckily, we're using Send Cut Send to make some aluminum parts, these little adapters here. What I did is 3D printed these templates, and it actually took a couple of iterations to get the size and bolt spacing perfectly right. And that's the easiest way to do that because I know for a fact this part is gonna work. And we also know for a fact that laser cutting is absolutely perfect, and this part will be exactly the same as this part. All I did was upload this file to Send Cut Send's website, tell them I want this hole tapped right here, and this is the part we got in the mail, and it's perfect. All we have to do is put this on the mill and put a couple of features into it. Now keep in mind, I am not a machinist. I just kind of do whatever I think's gonna work, and misuse tools a lot, probably. Here, it looks like. Chamfer away. Ah, bit of juice on there. I normally use applesauce, but WD-40 works a little better. Final fitment. Yes, sir. Machinists be like, that's not how you do that. You don't have the D16 corrugated chamfer bit for the proper tool for this. Whatever, dude, I got this at Home Depot. Here's our complete part. I wanted to machine this here on the Bridgeport because it's super fun to use. But since I have like 9 huge builds at the moment, I'm gonna be using their brand new machining service to make parts like this in the future, because it would save me like an hour on these parts alone, and that adds up a lot at the end of the week. Let's go see if it fits. Yes, sir. No way. Dang, that fits so good. Too easy, dude. That's solid. We just saved 1,500 bucks. Next, we're gonna install the water pump for the intercooler. I also had Send Cut Send make this. I've been using their press brake service for years now, so this saved me a ton of time. Probably put these somewhere else so they don't get welded them. Maybe like right here. Another one like right there. Okay. All right, so we're gonna weld these on here. Look at this, no prep. Not even gonna clean it. Straight out of the package, baby. Straight out of USPS. This is the handiest tool I own. You have to buy one if you do any welding. So fast, love it. I actually built this. Yeah, when I built this, Milwaukee didn't make one yet. So I combined a few different tools together and made this. And I've been using it ever since. It works so good. All right, let's put it on. Yeah, right there. Looks great. Not going anywhere. I've been waiting for this day for several years now. We're gonna mount the turbos. They're gonna go somewhere, about there. So sick. Everyone gets too theoretical with this kind of process. Unless you're 3D scanning everything, just start welding stuff, bro. Dang. Yeah, we can go way further this way. Okay, that's better. Something like that, I like that. Luckily, we have a ton of metal around here we can weld to. Moment of truth. The plan here is to mount the merge collector first, because that's going to locate the turbo. Once we know where this needs to be, I'll make a little flange to mount this to the truck, and then we'll build the headers off of that. Okay, how'd we do? Let's take a step back. Oh my gosh, that's a big turbo. What the heck? It's huge. Yeah, I think we nailed it. It looks great. Welded on. I didn't get the mirrored turbos because they're way more expensive. They're like double the price. So they're gonna look the same, but I think we have room for them to go the same direction like that. Yeah. That's gnarly, dude. Have the exhaust come like right here. That way you can't see the road much. To mount the next turbo, we're gonna use technology. I feel like Tom Cruise. This is gonna be too easy. Gravity's like super convenient most of the time. When you wanna just hold something somewhere, it's always fighting you. This would have been a lot easier if we could have just launched all these parts up into space, and then while you're fabricating, if you don't touch anything, it stays right where you need it. Dude, this is so sick. Woohoo! That's getting me pretty pumped to finish this thing up. In the next video, we're gonna add the dry sump oil system, move the radiators to the back, add the brakes, and all the oil hoses, and then we can drive it. I cannot wait to hear it start. It's gonna be so sick. Once we get the driveline dialed in the next video, the only major thing left to do is adding the body. The body is gonna add a ton to the look because it's gonna make it look like a 2020 model. All right, it's time to get back to work. We'll see you on the next one.